Welcome back again to another episode of the Solid Nutrition Podcast, Unfiltered, where we are meeting and talking to ordinary people from around the world to share their story, to inspire you to live on purpose. Make sure, as always, that you like, share, subscribe to this video, this channel. If there's anything that you find that's motivational and inspiring to you, we want to make sure that we share that love. So I'm excited that we have with us today our guest, Mr. Lorenzo McFadden. What's your story?
Thanks so much for having me, Solomon. I'll just start with, being somebody who came from the business world, and that was really kind of my focus as a young person, coming out, not too focused on emotional intelligence, more focused on intellect and being able to manage and just really progress through my career. And at a certain point, I hit that wall of purpose where I looked up and I said, really, I'm building empires for other individuals, because I worked at a Fortune 500 and a Fortune 100. And, in those cases, I wasn't really building something that I just believed in, and I felt like there was more out there for me to do and to pursue. So I actually just left corporate and went back to teach at the school I attended in Camden, New Jersey. It's considered an under-resourced community severely. A very high violence crime community, just a community that's really been through a lot. And, to go back helped me see a lot of things. It helped me see what was happening, and it helped me look at my experience differently. And through that, I started trying to figure out really what was the solution? What could I do even to make a difference in any way? And so I had started with an after-school program, because after teaching, I figured maybe I'll look at what's happening after school and see if I could touch it there. And then I had a chance interaction with someone who brought up mental health services, but brought it up from the standpoint of in-home. And I had never been exposed to that. So it was a really unique and exciting thing to hear about. And I felt like that was just going to be so powerful, because in a lot of the homes of the children that I worked with, they didn't have anyone who had even graduated high school. Yeah. So from my perspective, just putting somebody in there with a master's degree was just powerful in itself. But then to think, wow, there's also going to be a service in there that may allow that child or that other family member to address their trauma or any other things that may be going on. Just, it was mind-boggling. I got so excited about it. And then I just started really looking for other people who were passionate about making a difference. And, I guess I'm sort of a serial entrepreneur, because at the same time, I kind of stayed in that education realm, and I started building a school that started focusing on frontline healthcare workers initially. And that school really, I'd say over 90% of our student population were a minority female, most single mothers. And so it was a great opportunity to kind of look at a subsection of society and say, okay, how can we really make a difference, and figure out how to put those other resources around the individuals as well. Because it wasn't just about giving them the training, it was about actually creating a pathway to a career that would be sustainable. So we had to really figure out how to do some things that were unique. We created one of the first apprenticeship programs in South Jersey for medical assistants, and created relationships with a lot of the healthcare networks in the area, and then decided that we wanted to figure out how to touch some guys. I remember I listened to your podcast a little bit, and I heard you talking about that experience of wanting to tap into different markets. And I looked at the young man, and IT jumped out. And so we recently started pursuing that. We started pursuing relationships directly with high schools, as opposed to waiting till after they get out. So we have students that are coming out of high school, medical assistants, coming out of high schools, help desk technicians. So we're really trying to equip students with what they need, and with the understanding that, one, college is not for everybody, or two, maybe they need to take an additional step before they get there. And this allows them to have that opportunity, or an opportunity to actually work while they're in school. I can keep talking, Solomon.
No, that's good. I want to get back to the point. You talked about emotional intelligence. I've been hearing that word been thrown out a lot. What does that word mean? Did you struggle in that area at all in your pursuit of purpose emotional. I mean, I know it's not a new word, but it's a new word that people keep talking about. So what are your thoughts on that?
I absolutely had to take a tremendous journey in that way. You know, it contradicted a lot of things that I had learned, that I've been exposed to. You know, a lot of what I was taught was really to ignore that side of me as a person and to look at that side of other individuals as weakness.
Wow.
And, you know, as I got old, and that was even at the corporate level. So, you know, this is what I'm not talking about just as a child. I'm talking about like growing up as an adult, being in corporate with people making six figures, you know, and they're functioning like this and they're teaching this type of mindset. And, you know, one of the principles that I had to look at in starting the organizations I work with is, you know, who are we and what do we represent? And do we want to be a place where people want to work, where you can actually care about each other? And that's okay, you know, and you can actually really understand each other's lifestyles and different things that you can appreciate. And so it was a tremendous journey just because I didn't come from it. Work being in mental health, that organization is about 80% female, and just learning to function, learning to just be a good leader, learning to listen and not just listen with my motive in the back of my mind, which is often what you're taught from a sales standpoint, but listening from the standpoint of really understanding and wanting to help people.
Yeah. So how have you handled the highs and lows of life?
Well, you know, at different points, I've used different things. You know, of course, faith sits in a place. I think family sits in a place. I think friends sit in a place. And I think it's really based on what you're going through and who those individuals have become to you or how strong your faith is. So I think it's about passion though, too. You know, that outweighs so many things for me because that's what gives me a lot of that drive when it doesn't seem like it could work or it might not work or it might need some of that additional support. And, you know, it's really just digging in.
Yeah, yeah. And so before we get to your business, I want to know, you know, for millennials that might be listening and who are trying to figure out life, trying to figure out who they are, trying to figure out purpose, trying to figure out that new business or that new degree, they're just trying to figure it out and maybe they're stuck. From your journey, your experience, what piece of advice or what motivation can you provide to that viewer?
I would say don't expect it to work out exactly as planned. So be very adaptable along the way. And you have to be passionate about it. It can't just be about money. If you're trying to be an entrepreneur, I mean, because if that's the case, you're going to be one of those majority who go out of business in the first year, more than likely. You know, it's really having the willingness to dig, to understand that you may have to look at things a little differently than those around you and still have faith in your plan and believe that other people can be galvanized or motivated to work with you, because it is hard to be on an island while you're trying to build, especially something that has impact or of significance. And that should be what the goal is, to have some sort of impact, to make some sort of difference. You know, honestly, I'm so focused on social change, you know, and figuring out how to make a difference that it's hard for me to just think about making money. You know, it's like, how can I look at the world as it is and just not feel motivated or press toward just changing it? And so I think having something like that you can draw onto at those tough moments, it allows you to just keep walking through.
Yeah, that's good, man. So tell people how they can find you, what links to your website. You talked about a little bit about your business and your schools. How can people connect to learn more about the amazing work that you're doing?
Thank you. They can reach me at www.amtrainingcenter.com. That's where we do our occupational training, where we have our medical assistant training, IT training, mental health first aid training, Alzheimer's and dementia. We get into a lot of areas supporting people. And then we have the Thrive Network. That's www.thethrivenetwork.com. That's where you can find the organization that's doing that mental health in the community. We do in-home services, outpatient. We do training in facilities. We actually will come out and actually do their services on site as well. So we're working with this couple schools in that way. And I'm just really glad to be here with you, Solomon. This is a great opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. And viewers do know that the links are going to be provided right below this video. So if you want to connect and to learn more about the amazing work that Mr. McFadden is doing in his community, I want to encourage you all to do so. Thank you guys for listening. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the Solomon Teacher Podcast Unfiltered. Thank you again, Mr. Lorenzo, for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.